Hey there, welcome to XR Industry Leaders with ArborXR. My name is Brad Scoggin, and I am the CEO and one of three co-founders of ArborXR. And we've had the opportunity of working with thousands of companies since 2016. And we've learned a ton about what it takes for XR to be successful in your organization.
And I'm Will Stackable, co-founder and CMO. This podcast is all about interviewing the leaders who are on the ground making XR happen today. True pioneers in the space, from Amazon, Walmart, and UPS to Coke, Pfizer, and beyond, to uncover the pitfalls, lessons learned, and secrets that you can use to help grow XR in your organization.
To sit down with Brian Vogelsang. Brian is the Senior Director of Product Management in the XR division at Qualcomm. Brian's been at Qualcomm for 30 years. Brian, it's great to have you on the show.
Awesome to be here.
I was thinking, I think I met you initially like 2 AWEs ago. And then it's funny, we have this little kind of funny thing between us that we have run into each other in Vegas several times. Almost, it feels like we're both big Vegas guys. And I don't know that either of us really are, but it feels like, we've seen each other there 3 or 4 times, which is kind of funny. But I'd love to hear, maybe just as we kind of jump in, I want to hear more about kind of the evolution of XR at Qualcomm. But before we go there, I think a lot of our listeners, and it's funny, we all know the name Qualcomm, but maybe just at a high level, like what does Qualcomm do?
Yeah. So Qualcomm's best known as being a technology company, maybe even more well known in building chips for a variety of devices. So we build the platforms, the chipsets that power smartphones and laptops and tablets and wearable devices like smartwatches, as well as XR devices. So we'll spend more time talking about those today. But we're also in, the automotive world. So we build software and technology for self-driving cars and digital cockpits and chipsets that power next generation, automobiles, audio devices like Bluetooth headsets and smart speakers and camera systems and smart home devices, Internet of Things, that sort of thing. So, you can think of us as a technology provider, and we build the enabling technologies that make all these kind of smart devices in our world possible. Got
it. Love that. And so tell us about, you've been there 30 years, been in XR for 7. Mm-hmm. I'd love to hear even a little bit of the origin story of XR within Qualcomm.
Yeah, so early, if we kind of go back to 2015, 2016, Qualcomm was building XR devices in the smartphone space. So if you're familiar with like ARKit and AR Core or smartphone AR, back in the early days, this is even going back 15 years ago, we were doing research and development about how you could bring augmented reality to mobile devices. And we had a number of products there that primarily enabling developers to build on smartphones. But those naturally kind of went into thinking about headsets. Could we use the processors that we have and use for mobile today and put them in wearable augmented reality? And we worked with some of the early pioneers in that space like ODG, and to build augmented reality glasses, leveraging our smartphone portfolio. And then we really started thinking about virtual reality in like 2014, 2015. And we said, well, why do virtual reality headsets have to have a PC that they're tethered to with applications running there? Why do they have all these outside-in tracker systems that have to be installed to use those devices? So why couldn't we just make an all-in-one kind of standalone virtual reality headset that didn't require any external thing? And so we helped pioneer that space and bring those to market beginning in 2016, 2017. And that's just evolved from there to the current generation of headsets. And now that's the primary way that people experience virtual and now mixed reality devices. We've continued in augmented reality. So it was a thing we started back in 2013, 2014 for head-worn devices, and still continue that kind of to this day with much more modern headsets. So the virtual and mixed reality market has moved a little bit faster. We've seen like wider consumer adoption, wider enterprise adoption of these devices. So but it's a mix. We're still focused on enabling both categories.
Yeah. Do you have? I mean, we've seen from my perspective, it feels like for years, everyone has said AR it's ultimately going to be AR, but everything we see on the ground is VR, VR, VR. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do believe that the ultimate form factor that we all want to be in is an augmented reality experience that we can wear all day, that's all day wearable, that's lightweight. There's just really significant challenges in making that possible. To have all day wearable, you really need to be at 30 grams, 50 grams, in that range, and technologically the amount of tech you need to put in a glass like that to make it possible. These are displays and optics and sensors and processing and that sort of thing. It's just something we're working to miniaturize and working to build the technology that can get us there. So what we've seen in the interim is larger devices. So you think of like the HoloLens 2 or the Magic Leap devices, or the A3 from Lenovo. These are a little bit bigger augmented reality headsets, above let's say between 130 grams to 400 grams. And then on the VR side, initially virtual reality was all about fully immersed. And more recently in the market, in the last couple of years, we've put cameras on the front of these virtual reality headsets and passed the real world through. And now you can do augmented reality in a VR headset using this pass-through technology. And that's what we see a big growth in now. So now you're not just fully immersed in the digital world. You can turn those cameras on your VR headset and be in this pass-through modality where now you can do augmented reality as well. So it's referred to, it's a little bit of challenging because the industry refers to these with a lot of different terms, everything from spatial computing to augmented reality to mixed reality. We talk about it as a mixed reality experience when you're in VR, in kind of an AR mode. We talk about it as MR or mixed reality.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, pretty much every standalone XR device on the planet has a Qualcomm chip. Is that right? I mean, is that a bit of an overstatement? Or I mean, that's how I always say it. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, we've been investing a long time, and we have made sort of significant progress in enabling the industry. I think over 80 devices have launched using Qualcomm. So it's not every device, but
almost. Come on, yeah. I like to say
Yeah.
almost. And so an OEM, whether it's an XR specific OEM or if it's somebody like Lenovo, they come to you, they get a chip, they get a reference design. Like, what all do they get?
Yeah. So Qualcomm's really about enabling industries. I talked earlier about, whether it's mobile phones that we're enabling or smart watches or automotive devices, we want to give the people building those devices, the manufacturers, everything they need to get to market really rapidly. So in the case of an XR device, that's the chipset itself, so the processors, and those processors include a bunch of different things. They're kind of like systems on chips. So they have GPUs, they have computer vision, they have AI elements in them, and we assemble them all together into a single chip. So those chips are really important and a big part of what we build. But then in the case of XR, on top of the chip, we enable a bunch of software and algorithms. These XR devices need to be able to track the user, track, let's say, their hands, or track their eyes, or track their location in the room. As you're walking around with a VR headset or an AR headset, you want to be able to move freely. And those tracking technologies, whether it's a controller or whether it's hands or positional tracking, those things need to be built. And typically, a device manufacturer isn't going to have the time or the resources to be able to build this software and algorithms well. So we build those. We also make them highly power efficient. So we'll put them in the hardware so that they run really efficiently. So we have more battery life on a device that is standalone. So we take those software and algorithms and we put them into reference designs. So you mentioned the reference is really important for market acceleration. So we give the OEMs a blueprint. That blueprint includes, here's a VR device that we've kind of built. You can think of it like a concept car or a blueprint, and it has all the sensors and these algorithms integrated with the chipset so everything kind of works together. So now they can get to market much more quickly. They don't have to invest in building all these things. And then the last thing that we do is we enable these algorithms together as a platform for the OEM that can be exposed to a developer, an ISV, who wants to use this. So if I want to bring an application, let's say it's a training application for the enterprise, I want to build that. I need to be able to have access to all these tracking technologies, tracking the controllers, tracking the eyes, tracking the hands, the position as or anchoring content in the environment. And all those algorithms need to be available in Unity or Unreal Engine to a developer building those experiences. And so we bring all that together in we bring all of this together in a platform we call Snapdragon Spaces. That's essentially the turnkey thing we provide to software package we provide to an OEM, a device manufacturer, to give them everything they need on the algorithm side, and it's compatible with the reference design, compatible with our chipsets, hardware optimized. And then we also provide, as a part of Snapdragon Spaces, a part of that to the developer community, so that they can, the ISVs who are creating these training solutions, what have you, can build for these devices as well. The OEMs don't have to create the SDK. They don't have to create the environment that developers are going to build in. We deliver that to the OEM.
Well, one of the things that I've really appreciated, enjoyed about working with Qualcomm is that, I mean, we look at the world and we look at our role in it very much to remove the friction. And obviously we're doing it from the device management side. So how do we more efficiently provision devices, manage devices at scale, manage the users, manage content, et cetera. And so I think as we've seen Spaces evolve over the last several years and all the stuff you just listed, to us it's just so exciting because we see firsthand on a daily basis the power of XR, and it feels like we each probably have our list of things. Why isn't this going faster? But it's just a different list of different friction points, really, right? I mean, the technology has been proven, the efficacy has been proven, and so I look at Spaces, and to me it helps get OEMs get to market quicker, like you said, which I think is very powerful. So whether it's XR specific OEMs or one of the traditional OEMs, but then on the ISV side, I think that's really powerful too, enabling an ISV to be able to build once for multiple devices because of the cost there, right? The time cost, the money cost, et cetera. But I'd love to hear, you kind of went through kind of a feature set of Spaces, which is really cool. But what you didn't say is you were really part of birthing Spaces. So I mean, even just kind of what was the origin of that? What was the impetus? 7 years ago or 4 years ago, and kind of where do you see it going from here?
Sure. Yeah. So I think, our, like you said, our goal is accelerating the market. We want to help device manufacturers get to market more quickly. What we realize that in XR that's unique, I think, maybe to XR versus other technology areas, is that it's the whole device, because if you think about spatial computing, the computer is about computing in the real world, and you're embodied in that. So that means the computer has to know, you don't have a keyboard necessarily or a mouse to input, and then the displays are not a monitor. The content's being displayed in a virtual world or in the real world. And so that means that the XR device needs to have all these technologies that understand the real world, understand the environment of the real world, understand the user, in order for the user to input and output the basic things in computing. And so that's a much more challenging thing for an OEM or a device manufacturer or a developer to deal with if it's not sort of standardized. If you don't have if you have inconsistent experience, let's say I'm a developer, an ISV, and I'm building a device, an application for training that really requires hand tracking. And if I want to put this application on multiple devices and that hand tracking either doesn't exist on one device or it works and functions completely differently, then that's just going to, like you said, create friction for that ISV, which is going to create friction for them selling the training solution. It's just going to create scaling problems. So we kind of early on saw that, hey, if an ISV or a developer creating an application for an industry doesn't have a consistent experience across different hardware, then that's just going to be a bottleneck for the industry. So we said, how do we solve that problem? Well, one way is to try and standardize how these APIs and applications function on the device. And so a big part of that is OpenXR. So there's an industry organization called Kronos, and within that there's a project called OpenXR. And Qualcomm is one of the founding members of this part of this project. And the goal here is to create industry standards around APIs that developers can use to run their applications and experiences on these devices. So it's about removing friction. So from the beginning, we were involved in OpenXR, but OpenXR is just interfaces. It's not the actual technologies themselves, the algorithms that track your hands or your eyes or controllers. And so we wanted consistency of those as well. Otherwise, you get this kind of developer fragmentation across devices. And so that's really what we set out to solve. Was we were building these algorithms, we're exposing them through industry standards like OpenXR, up to an ISV in Unity or an Unreal Engine, and we wanted those, portability. We wanted applications to be able to run consistently across devices, and so that's what we set out to solve with Spaces. So it's kind of a turnkey package we give to the OEM. The OEM can load that onto their device, and now they don't have to worry about reinventing how the hand tracking or algorithm works, that sort of thing. And it's all pre-integrated with the sensors that are in the reference designs. So if they follow the blueprint and bring it to market, they can get to market rapidly. And when that device is there in the market, now all these applications are already ready for it because they've been built, let's say, for another Spaces device. Now they can just come onto that device. So it's really about defragmenting for the developer. And we saw that early on, that, hey, if this problem is not solved, we're not going to be able to grow the market like we want to grow it. We're not going to have a rich ecosystem of manufacturers that are out there that can create devices that can scale, and then that's going to hold back industry adoption. So that's really, and we set out to do this in 2019, 2020, and then we launched Spaces in 2021, late 2021.
You talked about some of the challenges for ISVs. What challenges do you hear when it comes to scaling for the enterprise?
Yeah. So I think there are a few. One of them is the problem that you all solve, which is Arbor solves, which is managing the device fleet. That's certainly one. So how to give the tools to IT to be able to get these devices in the hands of their end users and manage the fleet in a way that's secure, and can also deploy the applications that the enterprise is going to need to be successful. So that's certainly an important one. Training the IT departments and in an understanding of how to deal with these devices. They're different. I've been at Qualcomm for 30 years. I saw the phones and smartphones introduced in the enterprise for the first time, and this was a challenge. If you go back to the early 2000s, it seems funny now, but cameras were put into phones. This is prior to smartphones even, and enterprises didn't know how to deal with that. They didn't know how to deal with managing feature phones prior to smartphones. And so these were any new technology that's pervasive in the enterprise that creates value. There's in the early days, there's a little bit of friction getting people to understand how to work with that technology and understand how to deploy it and how to manage it at scale. So I think those are kind of some of the things. Other things are just there's a really a diverse set of things you can do with XR. If you look at a VR/MR device or augmented reality, there's just so many problems it solves, so many use cases, and oftentimes the ROI around those use cases are specific to a part of the enterprise, whether it's a learning and development team, or whether it's like a broader field service organization. So the enterprises have to understand the technology itself, how to deploy it and scale it, but then they also have to understand, okay, how can it be applied, and how do I educate not just the IT teams become educated on the technologies, but how do they educate their customers within their business units to understand the value that this brings. So these are things that whenever you have a new technology or a new platform, a new way of computing, it's gonna take some time for that understanding to kind of be realized by the entire organization. So those are some of the challenges that we see.
Yeah, I agree. I think what's interesting too is just the state of XR in the enterprise space, and because you have this future technology, but oftentimes you have ISVs really operating as an MSP to get the pilot off the ground, doing the legwork. But it's because we're all so committed. We've seen the power, we've seen the results, and I think one thing we talk about, and I always preface this with, I know this sounds dramatic, but I really think that XR is enabling a learning revolution. I think it's just fundamentally changing the way people learn, the speed at which people learn, the amount of information they can retain, but even just democratizing access. When you can train to be a nurse in your living room, it's really powerful. And so one of the things we like to always encourage people too is like, just stay committed. We're on the front edge. It's still really, really early. And there's enough results that if we can just hold on to this, I think we're gonna see something really exciting come out of this. I'd love to hear any successes that come to mind when you think about Spaces, and you think about. It's just really interesting, your journey. So you've launched in 21, so I guess 3 years now, and in that time, how much the XR space has evolved. Yeah. So any successes that come to mind with Spaces?
Yeah, so we like I said, we launched in late 21. It's been about 2.5 years. We started the Spaces really focused more on augmented reality, and then expanded to include like virtual and mixed reality headsets. So we're really about OEM enablement, and like one of the key OEMs that we've been working closely with that's enterprise focused is Lenovo. So Lenovo, we worked with both on augmented reality and virtual reality. So their augmented reality device is a pair of glasses, are about 130 grams, that tether to a smartphone and enable AR-based experiences. So this will be like guided work instruction or remote mentor or collaboration, team collaboration. The more of the types of use cases you might find like on a HoloLens or Magic Leap, and then more recently I've been working with them over the past year or so on the VRX. So the VRX is an all-in-one kind of standalone virtual reality headset built for enterprise, running our XR2 Gen 1 processor, and that is like a full virtual mixed reality experience. So it's about it has the pass-through technology I was talking about, where you can see the real world when you're in the VR headset and run your experiences with the cameras sort of on in pass-through mode, and you can also go fully immersive on it. So the on the enterprise side, that has been a big focus for us. But we've got a number of other OEMs that have built Spaces-based devices, commercialized, and we have others that are kind of on the way. A couple that I could highlight. One is Sony. So you may have seen Sony's recent announcement this was at CES, and they're building a virtual mixed reality headset that is for really targeted at enterprise and content creators that are focused on 3D workflows. It's a very, very high-end device. It's got in the XR space, one of the things that we talk about is the display resolution, like a 4K, versus 3K versus 2.5K per eye, because there's typically two displays, and you add them together and you get the total resolution. And so this is one of the highest resolution ones. It's a 4K, per eye, like an Apple Vision Pro, if you're familiar with that device and the audiences. So that kind of resolution, but theirs is actually in the industry, we talk about how many pixels you can have per degree of field of view, and theirs is even higher ends. It's like 55 pixels per degree. It's very, very impressive high-end device, and they've got a really unique design to controllers. They got a ring controller and an interesting controller that doesn't look like anything else we've seen in the VR space, because they're targeting at creators in this kind of PLM and 3D CAD space. So they actually customized some of the input devices specifically for them, and they're working with Siemens on a platform for that. So the Sony device is really excited about that one. again, 4K enterprise mixed reality headset. On the AR side, there's a pair of glasses that are coming for enterprise from a company called NTT Kono Devices. So this is a NTT Docomo, the mobile operator, the largest operator in Japan, have built a new company called Kono Devices together with Sharp, and they're building an AR glass. And this AR glass is enterprise focused. It's got a wireless connection to the smartphone, so it'll be powered by a smartphone connected to them, and they're lighter weight, and focused on some of those use cases I talked about remote work, remote mentor, guided work, instruction, that kind of thing. So we've got another 15 devices in the pipeline that I fortunately can't talk about because they haven't been announced yet. But there's just a whole lot coming, again, from a diverse group of manufacturers, and so we're just really excited about the investments that they've been putting into XR, and we think that there's going to be many options for enterprises to choose from on the hardware side as this market continues to evolve.
So you proved my opening statement that almost every headset on the planet is using the Qualcomm chip, which I think is exciting. I can say that, you can't say that. As we move to wrap, though, I'd love to hear, from a 30-year Qualcomm vet, like where is this technology going, and maybe even just personally, what are you excited about with XR in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah. So XR, just like kind of mobile was in the early days, it's going through rapid iteration and technology advancement. So we, just watching the market in the last 2 or 3 years, the introduction of mixed reality, the advancements that are being made in the displays and optics space. If you look at 5 years ago, if you put a VR headset, a standalone VR headset on, the change that we've had in the resolution and the quality of the image and the control and the inputs that we had no real integrated hand tracking or great wireless controllers, that sort of thing. So just every year we're seeing like these significant advancements in the technologies. I'm super excited about machine learning and AI and what that's going to bring to the space. Qualcomm is making tremendous advancements in augmented reality. Our latest chip for XR has over 9 times the AR performance of the previous chip, and so we're really investing heavily in that capability to run AI locally on the device. That we call it kind of at the edge. So there's this I think is going to not only help, this AI capability is not going to help the devices become smaller and lighter weight, but more sophisticated in terms of their ability to do these perception capabilities like the tracking, but also that'll be exposed to developers, ISVs, so they can take advantage of these AI hardware features to build just more amazing things. We think about multimodal AI and using your voice to interact and get and as sort of a user interface, to be able to manipulate content or ask the device to do something that you need it to do, and then it figures out how to do that and either return that as audio or return that as like in 3D. So I think I'm really excited about just the advancements that are happening in AI, how fast that's moving, and what that's going to mean for creators and ISVs building for this next generation of hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. I think sometimes we all get a little bummed at the speed at which XR is advancing. But the reality is, things. If you go back, like you said, 5 years, you think where we are today, and you think where it could be 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. Maybe we're being a bit pessimistic. So that's very true. And we work with a lot of ISVs and a lot of ISVs on the soft skills. And you think about how AI could play into that, even with some of the conversational things. Like that's and training. Mm-hmm. It is really, really exciting. Well, Brian,
and then you need speed for that. You definitely
right.
You don't want to be waiting 5 seconds between every.
That's gonna be an awkward conversation if you don't have. Well, Brian, this has been great. I know you are busy, so we really appreciate you sitting down with us today. And where can people find you? LinkedIn, is that the best place if they want to connect? Okay.
Yeah, definitely can connect on LinkedIn, send me an email, or reach out to me via email.
Okay.
So.
Awesome, Brian. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Will.